Hello and welcome back. Here's where we left off last time. As you can see, still only got half a side, and here's where we are now. We're actually slightly further on than this, but it gives you a good idea of that we've got a floor, a roof over our head, and here is how we got there. So first things first was those dreaded roof panels. Will got to work on spacing out those cuts that he needed to do to make those boards bend enough of a arc to go over the top of the shepherd's hut. So the spacings actually started off a foot apart. Then he struggled to get the board to actually bend because it's actually 11mm thick OSB. So he decided to actually reduce the spacings to only 6 inches between those cuts. So he made quite a lot more work for himself by doing that, but he assures me it made it so much easier to get it to bend over the top. And then he used 5 by 60mm screws to screw those down onto the roof, which we'll see him do in a minute. It took him quite a long time to do this. He doesn't know exactly how many panels he used, but he thinks that he used approximately like 1.5 per bay, and there's 14 bays, so we're looking at maybe 21 sheets of OSB, so that's a lot of cuts. I haven't done the maths to work out how many of those cuts he had to do, but here he is up on his ladder, screwing in all of those screws. He has no idea how many screws he's used in this process either, but probably quite a lot. But we wanted lots in to make sure it's not going to try and ping up and lift those panels at a later date. Also, sorry folks for the shaky camera work. That is Isabel's doing. She's grabbing my phone, she's trying to get YouTube on. I mean, she's only 6 months old, but she is dead sure what she wants. And she finds Will on the roof not boring, but wishes he could do more of the dancing fruit moves, maybe a bit more music, backing track, you know, things like that to just excite it up. Leave a message in the comments if you also want some dancing fruit. I'm sure we can do something. I've also turned down our voices on this just because we sounded like Alvin and the Chipmunks, and nobody wants to hear that squeaking. I was talking to Isabel and it's just come out really high pitched, so although I've sped it up so that obviously you're not sitting there just watching Will climb up and down a ladder, the voices were just going terrible, so enjoy the music. Here you can really see how straight those panels are and how much he's having to try and push on them to get them to bend enough to actually screw down. I'm not sure how he did this on his own. This is something that normally I would try and help with, but with a baby attached to my front, it's probably not the safest, me being up a ladder grabbing the other side of that wood, so he was Mr. Man and did it himself. And I gotta say, it really looks impressive on top. I didn't think that the boards would actually bend like that, so yeah, kudos to Will for actually getting it to do that. So, a prime example of where's Wally, or where's Will's tools. He's left his axe on top of the shepherd's hut, so I'm really glad that he actually remembered to bring that down afterwards, because otherwise he'd have been looking for that for hours. And here you go, guys, a roof and both sides. I don't know about you, but I find this really impressive because you can see on the roof all the little cuts that he's had to do to bend those panels, and it runs all the way through because he's measured each piece, which is just amazing. You can really see the craftsmanship he's had to do to make that happen. I'd also like to draw your attention to the little tripod we've got going on there for the rest of these videos. Stops the shaking, means that I'm not in charge with Isabel, and actually means that when she's under my care and I can't get up there and make those videos, he can do them himself, which means that you don't miss out on any of the really good footage. So here is Will cutting the pieces of metal. The gauge of the box section was 100 by 50, and the wall of that metal is 3mm thick. Now, you may or may not remember from the last video, but we needed to extend the trailer. We'd actually exceeded the dimensions of our trailer with our shepherd's hut, but we really didn't want to have to shorten it. We discussed it and yeah, okay, I pushed the boat and said that I definitely wanted it bigger, not smaller, so extending the trailer was the only route that we could do that. So a sneak peek. This is the right hand side extension. You can see that bar there just by the orange cable. That's welded into place, and we're now going to show you the process of how that happened on the left hand side. So first things first was clamping the bars into place. I played a small part here, just picking up the tools that he was dropping, because it was really taking a lot of time, him having to run up and down and pick up the tools that he was dropping through the floor. We really need to get that floor in at this stage, but until it is structurally sound by having those extensions, we couldn't. Trusty tape measure came out to make sure that they are level and square. Strategic box there so that he doesn't have to keep sitting on the gravel. And here is using the piece of wood and the jack to lift up that end because it was actually sagging over the edge that wasn't supported. That's when we really realised that it needed a bit of extra support and it wasn't just going to be able to float there. So that's why these pieces of metal are really important. So now it was in place, he could get on with the welding. So he had to actually grind those pieces of metal shiny first of all, and then he got on the arc welder and started to lengthen those pieces of metal. So he actually lengthened them by 90 centimetres on each corner, just to give it more support. Here you can see him doing that grinding, just making sure that those welds are going to be nice and clean and that are going to be the best possible union between those two pieces of metal. You can really see how time consuming each of these stages are. I don't think I really comprehended how much work we was going to have to do to make this shepherd's hut longer, but I really do think it will benefit from it in the long run, like just having that extra space. It's not something that we can really afford to lose. I mean, let's face it, even in a tiny home we're going to need space for Isabel's toys and those lovely hounds to be able to lie down and stretch out. I mean, nobody's told Mitzi yet, but she actually won't have a whole sofa to herself, which at the moment she loves lying on Mum and Dad's sofas, and Suzuki is on the other sofa. So yeah, our doggy wogs are going to have to really get used to quick having not as much space. So final measurements, just making sure that everything's square, level. I'm really, before he puts those last welds in, it is in the right place. Which I'm really glad that he checked, because I think it would have been a nightmare trying to unweld everything that he'd done. And yeah, better to have it all in one place. For those of you that haven't guessed as well, I have no idea of all these technical terms. I mostly ask Will what he's doing, he tells me. I make some notes and try and make it as informative as possible when I do these videos, but if you ever see a little writing and little asterisks, it's because he's told me that I've said completely the wrong thing and that I sound like an idiot. So I do try my best, but if anyone would like to know the technical information and I've said it wrong, please ask in the comments and I'll be happy to give you any more information. Even did the bounce test and it succeeded, so happy with that, yeah. So this was an amazing day. All of our insulation turned up and we could finally start getting it warm, which has been my biggest fear with the shepherd's hut, was are we going to be sweltering in the summer and freezing in the winter like with those static caravans, but Will assures me that with this much insulation in there that we're not going to have that issue. So we actually went for 75mm thick insulation here. We did toy with 100mm, but actually we decided that because those arches within the roof needed a bit more play, and also we couldn't decide on did we or didn't we need an air gap. I mean, the jury seems to be out a bit online on that, so if anyone else has any information on that and would like to let us know, that would be amazing. Not that we're changing now, we've cut all the insulation and started putting it in, so we're not going to change to 100mm, but if somebody could tell us why that would have been a better idea, then yeah, I would like to know for next time. Maybe. Would we do this again? I don't know. You'll have to ask us at the end of the project. So here you can see he's cut up some of those pieces. Isabel is being site manager. She's watching him move them all over. Not helping, but you know, she'll get there. He's cutting them all to the same sizes because the floor squares should all be the same size. We actually found that with the floor insulation that was the case, and it was really quick and easy to put them in, and actually the walls where we've got like the little noggins sticking out were really not that, so we've had to initially we cut them all bespoke, but that was taking forever, so we then started cutting them slightly smaller to the gaps, and then foaming in the gaps instead, just to try and streamline it because it was taking hours and hours to do this insulation. Can anyone guess this song as well? I know it's squeaky, but I think you'll guess the tune. This is Isabel's favourite song. If we ever want smiles in any of the photos or anything like that, this is the theme tune. So here you can see we're really excited. We've got most of that insulation in, and actually we've got some floorboards down. So yeah, finally Will is not falling through the floor, and actually we can walk around. Me and Isabel can get up there and have a really good feel for what it's actually going to be without me having a heart attack that I'm going to fall through the floor with her. And yeah, amazing. Yeah, they haven't lifted themselves. Will has had to go underneath to notch all of those in on that side. So here we are, happily standing in our shepherd's hut. Isabel is in there for the very first time of actually being stood inside, and a big smile on her face, so success, I'd say. So next on the agenda was the walls. As I've previously mentioned, this is the time consuming bit. We thought that we could cut them same as we had done for the floor and that they'd all be the same size, but actually it was a lot harder than that. They seem to vary quite a lot because of those noggins. It depends which orientation he's put them in, and they just dimension wise seem to vary a little bit, so it took him quite a long time to do this bit. He did later on actually start cutting them just smaller, all at the same size, to try and speed up the process, which is how we got to here. And you can see actually he's got them all in, apart from that one. We've left that one empty because that's where the bathroom window is going to be. So I wish it actually came together as quickly as these videos seem to allude. They're all on time lapse. So here you can see he's actually done the ceiling as well. Isabel is very happy about it. So we've got the whole of the right hand side insulated, most of the ceiling, and started onto that left hand side wall as well. So instead of boring you with just insulation, this is what else we've been up to behind the scenes. So we actually went and chose our flooring. We've decided to go for the same flooring all the way through, so it's easy to lay. And this is what we've gone for, which is a Victoria Luxury vinyl tile. It's vinyl flooring in a wood effect, and it's actually the same flooring that we had at our house in Worcester. We loved it that much that actually we've gone for the same again. And a bonus, we actually found that a place very local to us had got it all half price, so it only cost us $15.95 a metre squared, so really cheap, really good value, considering it's normally over £30. And we bought a bulk buy of it, so we bought 20 boxes, which is what we worked out we'll need. We can lay that through the whole of it, and then we can stud the walls on top rather than having to measure it all out and fit it to each individual room. So that'll save us hopefully quite a lot of time and make the process hopefully fairly easy and straightforward. Now, we were really proud of ourselves on this one, so we wanted windows. We were going to measure them and go and get them bespokely made, and it was going to cost an absolute fortune. And then we decided to be a bit wombly and went on Facebook Marketplace and found these absolutely amazing windows. They're perfect. They'd been sat in someone's shed for apparently years. They'd put them on Facebook Marketplace just hoping that somebody might come along and want them, because normally they'd cost like over £1,000 a window maybe to actually create for somebody, and they're perfect for us. So we went down to Chipping Norton, had a bit of a day out, went for lunch and picked them up. So yeah, we're really happy with this purchase. So you may remember actually from the original plan we were going to put a bifold in our bedroom. We were getting quotes for about £1,800 per bifold, and we've actually decided that we can't afford 2 bifolds right now, so we're gonna stick with the one in the main living area because that's the most important one, and just put a small window on that side in our bedroom to let in all the light, but just backtracking on that L-shaped bend that we were gonna look to do in the future. We've also decided not to do the little window in the kitchen. We can use that wall for more storage space, and we might change our mind, but for now, we're just going to stick with the windows we have. And that's about it, folks. So we've got flooring, we've got windows, we have a floor, so we've ticked that box. We have quite a lot of the insulation in, so we're well on our way to being in our shepherd's hut. So we'll keep saying that he's aiming for June as our move-in date, which is coming ever closer. But hopefully, if you have enjoyed this and you want to subscribe, hopefully by June you'll see us in our shepherd's hut, all moved in, and starting our new life, living in a shepherd's hut. So yeah, thank you all for watching, and we look forward to showing you how we've got on next time.